Guys, what's up? Matt Smith back here with you. SEC season previews rolling on with Georgia today. The preseason favorite to win the SEC East. They won it 3 years in a row, of course, from 2017 to 2019. That reign ended last year with a loss to Florida. Had a lead in early in that game, let it get away. They just could not keep up in their two SEC losses last year to Alabama and Florida. Stetson Bennett was just no match at quarterback for Kyle Trask and Mac Jones. So 2 L's for the Dogs last year and a bit of a disappointing season. But it did end on a high note when they knocked off Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl to end the year on a 4-game losing streak. So goals are really high this year for the Dogs. Anything short of a college football playoff berth, which would be their first since 2017, is going to be a disappointment. I don't think it's national title or bust per se, just too many variables there to really make that declaration. But they're one of the best teams in the country, probably the second best roster in the country behind Alabama. So lofty goals, and rightly so for Georgia this year. So at quarterback, JT Daniels, this is his offense now. Started the last 4 games last year, went 4-0. The big concern with him is he just hasn't played a lot of football the past couple of years. Played his true freshman year at USC in 2018, popped his ACL in the opener in 2019, obviously missed the rest of that season, and missed about the first half of last year before he was cleared medically. Took over in mid-November, again went 4-0. Big arm, high pedigree guy. You can move the ball with him. This offense has very lofty goals with Daniels, and I think, again, the only concern with him is just having only played about 5 games in the last 2 seasons, is that on-field work being limited for him. But other than that, passing game should be pretty good. Receiving core, top 2 guys are going to be Karis Jackson, Jermaine Burton, who took some nice strides last year as young players. They may get their stud George Pickens back. He tore his ACL in the spring. If it is, it's probably late in the season. Maybe you point toward the Florida game in late October as a potential return gate. Could be closer to the postseason. We'll see, but they hope to get Pickens back at some point. Also add in Eric Gilbert, the tight end from LSU. Had some issues there, transferred. If his head is on straight, he's quite the talent, and Georgia needs a tight end. They didn't have one the last year or two, so they're going to rely heavily on Gilbert should he be able to stay on the field and make his mark in Athens. So the running game, loaded again. 4 running backs. You got 2 complementary skill sets there. You got Kenny McIntosh and James Cook are going to be more your slashers, get the ball, speed and space type guys. And then your power between the tackle guys in Zeus White and Kendall Milton. So a lot of diversity in that running game. Should be highly productive. Offensive line, they were all right last year. Wasn't blown away by any means. A couple guys back. Jamari Sawyer is the big name, a top recruit from a couple years back. So a little bit of experience there, not a ton. Again, not just overly worried about that group, but I would have liked to see a little bit more last year in terms of dominance from that group, even though they lost a ton from that 2019 team. So switching over to defense, Kirby Smart's baby. They do have a couple big guys to replace. Azeez Ojulari, their key edge rusher from last year, second-round pick, he's gone. Richard LeCount was a mainstay on the back end for years. He's gone. But just so much talent and a ton of depth in that front seven. Guys like Nakobe Dean, a leading tackler last year. He's a stud inside linebacker. If you're pointing to a guy who kind of make a breakthrough this year, it's probably Nolan Smith as an outside linebacker. Huge recruit from 2019, I believe. Hasn't done a ton in his first 2 years. So if you're looking for a guy to make some major strides, it's Nolan Smith. And on the defensive line, Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt played a ton of football. Jordan Davis, just a massive human being, 350 pounds at his heaviest. They like him more in the 320, 325 range, but just a massive presence who can hold up 2 offensive linemen and really let those guys behind him roam and make plays. So all good in the front seven, even with the loss of guys like Ojulari. Secondary, about 1.5 starters, I would say, back at safety, with LeCount missing about half the season last year when he was banged up. So they're okay there. Cornerback room, got some options. Brought in Darian Kendrick from Clemson. You got a couple veteran guys. Amir Speed. You have a transfer from a year ago from West Virginia, and Kelly Ringo. So just trying to sort out how all that's going to work out. Again, plenty of talent. It's just fitting the pieces together. And given the way Georgia's defense has played under Kirby Smart, just not a whole lot to be concerned about there. Special teams, they look great as well. Both guys are back. Camarda, Podlesny, both had really good years last year, so that should be a strength for the Dogs as well. Schedule-wise, all eyes on that opener with Clemson. Even if they do lose that game, however, though, the schedule was really light this year in the SEC. Alabama's gone. You're replaced with Arkansas. Only 3 true SEC road games. The Florida game counts as a road game this year. So the 3 road games are actually against all teams that have first-year head coaches. You got Josh Heupel at Tennessee. They go to Knoxville. They'll go to Nashville to play Vanderbilt with Clark Lee, and they go to Auburn with Brian Harsin. So all 3 SEC road games against first-year head coaches. Some of the more tricky games are at home, Missouri, Kentucky. Georgia's handled them comfortably the past few years, but they're the better teams compared to Tennessee, Vanderbilt. All those games are in Athens, as well as Arkansas as well. And then they'll finish up in Atlanta against Georgia Tech, having lost there since '99. So again, even if they do lose to Clemson, no excuse for not running the table, getting to 11-1, and taking your swing at a playoff berth in the SEC championship game. And that's what I'm calling for. The game with Clemson's in Charlotte. That is home stadium, home away from home for Clemson. They play there every year in the ACC championship game, have gone 6-0 there. I think they're more comfortable there. I like DJ Oyelongole. I think that defensive front seven is loaded and probably is the best unit of any of the two teams, is that Clemson front seven. So I'm going to give Clemson the win there, but I do think Georgia runs the table, takes back control of the SEC East. And finally, December 4th in Atlanta, Georgia, it's going to happen. Nick Saban is going to lose a game to a former assistant coach for the first time. Kirby's going to get him. Georgia's going to win their second SEC East title under Smart, and they're going to head to the college football playoff, ranked number 3. They're going to meet their old friends from Oklahoma, soon to be good friends once they join the league. But they played that memorable Rose Bowl 4 years ago. Georgia won it in double overtime, and I think they will meet again in the semifinals at the Cotton Bowl. Don't usually predict those playoff games when I do my season predictions, but if I had to pick a team, I'm going to go with the Sooners there to avenge that loss 4 years ago, move on to the national championship game. But it'd still be a great year for Georgia. Again, I think if they do go 11-2 with losses to Clemson and then to Alabama, I would go so far as to say that's a disaster. This roster is so loaded. Again, I think it's the second best in the country. You get 2 swings at the big boys. It is time for them to knock at least one of them off, and I do think they will do it. Not against Clemson, but in December against Alabama. So that's my Georgia preview. Please comment below with your thoughts on the Dogs. Let me know on Twitter what you think as well, @MattSmithCFB. Check out the rest of my videos previewing the rest of the teams in the SEC. The written previews are up at southernpigskin.com. And can't wait to get this season rolling. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks.